video today about the 7 psychic abilities. Yes, 7. I really believe that everyone has the power to connect to their higher selves, and there's many and varied ways that you can do this. And really, to be honest, there could even be more than 7 that we haven't really discovered yet, that people have ways of connecting to a place or spirit team or the universe. There is more than just 7, but there is 7 that I guess that is most known. So when we think about psychic abilities, right? So we think about mediums, we think about psychics, that these are the people that are the only ones that have the so-called power to connect to spirit. So when we think about us as people, we have our own spiritual team, right? So I've got my spiritual team here with me today, and I get varied messages from them. So I am the person that is connected to my spiritual team. I have the power to receive messages and guidance from my spiritual team. So it's all about knowing how to access that, right? I don't always have to go to a psychic medium or reader to get messages from my own team. I can do this myself, but it does require effort on my part to do this. I can't just sort of expect to go, oh yeah, so you need to tell me right now what I need to know, and here I am being very closed off, and I'm being quite frustrated about getting answers. It's about connecting in a certain way that we can receive the guidance and messages that we need to hear or see or feel. So the 7 different abilities that I've listed down here, we've got Clairvoyance, we've got Clairaudience, we've got Clairempathy, we've got Clairsentience, Clairalience, Clairgustance, and Clairtangency. Now, I probably haven't pronounced some of those correctly, so I apologize if anyone's going, what is she saying that all in the wrong way. That is one of my weaknesses, is that I don't know always how to pronounce different words, but here I am trying anyway. So I'll go through these different abilities today, and I like to call them the clairs, so to speak. So I'll go through from the first one, which is clairvoyance. Most of you will understand what clairvoyancy is, and yes, I'll do a little run through of each one of them. At the end of this video, I hope you feel like you've gained a little bit more insight into what psychic abilities are around. Well, I shouldn't say around, what psychic abilities there are and whether you connect most with one of those. So let's start off with clairvoyance. Thank you. So the first one I'm going to speak about today is clairvoyancy. So clairvoyancy is the ability to see visions of things. So objects, landscapes, events. They can see messages from spirit in a way of an image. So they are very much somebody who can predict future events through intense visions. They can see spirit in front of them as well. So they could be seeing, so they could be walking down a street, for example, and they'll see 4 or 5 people in front of them, but out of those 4 or 5 people, 3 of them are spirit. And sometimes they can't differentiate who is spirit and who is not. So clairvoyants have the ability to see different things in different ways. So if you're a really strong clairvoyant, you're seeing you're seeing people as spirit, but they look like your friend or someone that's standing in front of you. They look like they're a real person. So that's a very, very strong clairvoyant. Another ability of a clairvoyant is they can have intense dreams as well. So they can have intense dreams about future events. They can have intense dreams about warnings or messages from spirit that they need to know. So they are very much people that see things, visions of things. So that's their strength. They can see beyond this spiritual plane, so to speak. They can see way more than our physical world. So that is a clairvoyant. Okay, so the next one is clairaudient. So I find this one incredibly interesting, clairaudience. It's something that sometimes I will hear messages from spirit in my practice myself, but I'm not someone who's very intensely clairaudient. So for clairaudient people, it can be really difficult for them if they're very, very in tune to this ability. Because if you're an intense clairaudient person, you're going to be hearing so much going on around you, and it will be like, whoa, which voice is it today, sort of thing. So some people that are clairaudient, and I personally believe people that are diagnosed as schizophrenic people, that they may be in fact really intensely clairaudient because they're hearing so many different voices. And it could be their spiritual team. It could be spirits that are like, oh, this person can hear me. Oh, here I am. I'm trying to talk to you. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? Could you imagine like 10 people around me all trying to talk at the same time? That is someone who is clairaudient. They can receive messages as a voice form from spirit. So for a clairaudient person, if you're someone who has developed this ability and so that it doesn't affect your life too much, you're someone who can hear one voice at a time, and you can drown out or tune out like a radio sort of thing. You tune into the ones that you need to tune into and then tune out the ones that you don't need to listen to. So that is someone who is a clairaudient who has practiced and developed their skills in a way that they can use them very well. So I know there's a psychic medium that I know who is incredibly clairaudient, and they hear messages from one specific person or relative that has passed over, and they can just tune into that voice because that person can actually sort of talk to the other spiritual team and go, hey, what do you want me to pass on? Because I can pass on this messages to this medium in this way, and then he can tell the people that he needs to tell. So that's someone that is clairaudient and listening to their abilities in that way. So if you're someone who's clairaudient, you'll be able to tune into the voices, but you will recognize that it's not your voice, that it's other people or it's other spirits' voices, and know that, okay, that's the voice that I need to tune into and go, okay, yeah, that's it. That's the message I need to hear. That's not me, that's someone else speaking. So that is clairaudient. Okay, so the next one I'm speaking about is clairempathy. So clairempathy, this is me. I'm a clairempathy person, so to speak. So I find this ability is very interesting. So knowing that most of my life I've been an empath, so to speak, it's very, very difficult. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that when you're an empath, you can sense other people's emotions, and you can sense that going into a room, for example, if the room has the wrong energy about it, where there's high stress in a room, I will be like, whoo, I feel completely stressed right now. If you're walking to a space where there is dead silence, and there's a lot of people in the room and they're all busy working, but you could hear a pin drop in this room, but you can sense the tension, that is an empath. Empaths can really sense when something's wrong. So they're like, oh, okay, whoa, gosh, the people in this space, they're all feeling this one way, and then the emotion can be very overwhelming. So another example could be that you have a conversation with a friend of yours. This friend complains for about half an hour straight, and then you leave that conversation and you felt like you've done a 10K run. So that is what an empath is. It is like, wow, it is so draining to hear someone complain for half an hour. I've just given them all my energy. Now I'm walking away and I feel really, really drained. It's because you've tuned in to that person and you've given them your listening ear, you've given them your energy, and they've just sucked it all up. So as an empath, you need to be able to protect yourself. So this is something very important throughout my years of being an empath, is learning how to set up those barriers. But I won't explain it today because otherwise we can go on and on and on about this. But as an empath, research how to protect yourself, because it is very, very important. Empaths are very, very sensitive people. So if you're an empath, I feel you. All right, I'm going to be going on to the next one. So that is Clairempathy. Okay, so the next one I'm going to be speaking about is Clairsentience. So I feel like this one is closely related to Clairempathy, but Clairsentience is more about our gut feelings about things. So you know, when people call it that sixth sense, so this is very much Clairsentience. So a lot of people do have this one, I feel like in particular. So an example of that gut feeling about something when something is wrong, right? So when you're going along, busily doing this, busily doing that, and then something stops you and you get that gut feeling and you go, ooh, something's not right here. Should I keep doing this? It doesn't feel right. Normally this feeling comes when you least expect it, and it's just like that feeling, and it's that nagging feeling, and you go, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this. If I keep doing this, something's going to happen. So for example, I know there's a friend of mine and she's quite psychic in this area. So she was telling her family member one day, they were going on a trip somewhere, and it was quite a long trip. So this person was going to go off the next day, and she had a really bad feeling about him going. She's like, I don't want you to go. She's like, I really feel like something's going to happen here. I don't think you should go on this trip. You're not feeling well anyway, so maybe give this one in particular a miss. So the person didn't end up going. So the next day, this person was watching the news. So there was an accident. So if this person went on that trip, he could have died, basically. And she saved him because of her gut feeling. So that's really all I have to say about Clairsentience, is that it's the gut feelings, and it is very important to listen to your gut feelings, because if he had left and went on that trip, he could have died. So that is very much Clairsentience. Thank you. So the next one I'm talking about is Clairalience. Clairalience. I really don't know how to pronounce this. I did try and look it up, but I just don't know. So this one here is being able to smell a fragrance. So for example, if you had someone you knew that passed away, like a grandma or a grandpa, your grandpa liked to smoke, for example, your grandma used to like to wear a particular fragrance. So this one in particular is being able to smell certain scents. So if you think, oh, that perfume, I can smell it all of a sudden. Is it my grandma? Is she around? That is Clairalience coming in, and that's your abilities coming in to connect to your grandma who's passed over in spirit. Or like, for example, if you're cooking in the kitchen and you've got lots of scents going, and then all of a sudden you smell that perfume, it's like maybe grandma's there sort of joining in on dinner, and you're cooking dinner. So that's very much Clairalience. if you're smelling all of a sudden tobacco smoke, and that could be your grandpa around if he liked to smoke tobacco. So normally what spirit will do is send you a scent if you have this ability, and they'll send you this sort of notification that, hey, I'm here, I'm sending you these scents, and you're able to go, I feel comforted, I feel like someone's here with me, especially at times where you're feeling sad. And like and they're giving you a big hug in spirit, and you're smelling them. That is your abilities coming out, connecting to your grandma or your grandpa in spirit, and they will send you those fragrances. So that is Clairalience. So the next one is Clairgustance. So this one is very similar to Clairalience, where it's taste. So the sense of taste. So your spiritual team, instead of sending you scents that you can smell, they're sending you taste. So for example, if your grandma or grandpa or someone who passed over liked to cook or bake, like for example, like biscuits and cakes, and you can really smell the room, but you can taste the cake that your grandma used to cook. And if you're getting that taste in your mouth, so sometimes you could be walking along in the house and you go, oh, I've got that taste in my mouth. Why have I got that taste? I can taste the slices of cake that my grandma used to bake. So that is your spiritual team sending you messages. So in particular, your grandma. Another taste you could have is your favorite meal you had when you were a little kid, and maybe your mum or your dad or your brother had passed over, a friend of yours, and you used to eat chips together, you used to go on picnics together, and you could taste the cookies or whatever, like, so whatever that you could connect with that person. So that your spirit team are going to send you those tastes and remember it. And so you can remember, take you back to a time where it's like, oh, I really enjoyed that, or I felt comforted by that. Because when you think about it, spirit wants you to feel comfortable. They want you to feel safe. So they're going to send you fragrances or tastes or feelings that is like, oh, I want my person to feel good. I want them to feel safe and protected, or I want them to let them know that I'm here and I remember this time that we had together. So that is Clairgustance. So the last one I'm talking about is Clairtangency. Tangency? I think that's how you pronounce it. It's also known as psychometry. So Clairtangency, so someone who can do this is a person who picks up an object. For example, I've got an object right here, this crystal. So they pick up an object and they will get messages from that object relating to what has happened with that particular object. So this is a very handy skill for the police force. Police have been known to use psychic mediums in this case of picking up messages from objects and places. So if I were to pick up this and this was a part of a crime scene, for example, I would see visions perhaps, or I get a feeling perhaps of who has been here and handled this particular object in this crime scene to lead to solving the case, or to help with solving the case. So they're very much used in those instances. People that have these abilities to pick up objects and get messages from them more than likely have not just this ability, that they have a mixture of a few of these abilities. So Clairsentience, Clairvoyancy, Clairaudience, they might hear messages from picking up particular objects. So Clairtangency is a very interesting one indeed. So that's it for this video today. I hope that sheds some light on the clairs, so to speak, and whether you feel like you connect with one or more of these. I will be doing videos on how to develop your psychic abilities, so stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for listening today, and if you like this video, please give it a like or subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.